Day 483 of doing a LeetCode problem every day. All right, y'all, we're back again another day, another LeetCode problem where we're doing daily LeetCode problems. And today we have question number 628, maximum product of three numbers. The difficulty level is easy, so you already know we're going to keep the solution as simple and easy to understand as well. But before we get started, y'all, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And if you need any new Apple AirPods, go ahead and check out that link in the description so you can get you some. Now let's see what the question says. Given the integer array nums, find three numbers whose product is maximum and return the maximum product. All right, y'all, that sounds simple enough. So let's go ahead and take a look at these examples anyway, just to make sure that we fully understand this question. So in example 1, we have our input nums equals an array of integers 1, 2, 3. What we want to do is find three numbers whose product is maximum. Since we only have three numbers in this input, then we could just multiply all those three numbers and that will be the maximum output possible. And in this case, it's 6. 1 times 2, that'll give us 2, and then 2 times 3, that'll give us 6. Boom, so that's the possible output. Boom. Now let's take a look at example 2 where they give us more numbers to choose from, right? So in example 2, we have our input nums equals an array of integers 1, 2, 3, 4. This time our output is 24. Now all we have to do, and this will give you, this might be a hint onto how we're going to solve this problem, but as you can see right here, the numbers are sorted. So all we have to do is sort the numbers and then multiply the last three elements. Or excuse me, that won't always be the case if we have negative numbers. But if there are no negative numbers, then all we have to do is take the last three numbers of the sorted array and multiply them all together like they did here. So once again, 2 times 3, that'll give us 6. 6 times 4 will give us 24, and that's how we got it when we just took the last the last three numbers in a sorted array and multiply them. Now, once again, if we had negative numbers, that might not be the case because a negative times a negative is a positive. So say we had like a -8 and -7, that's going to give us 56 right off the top. And then we could multiply that by the last number, and that'll make it even bigger. So that's just a hint on how we're going to solve this problem. I'll dive deeper into that when we get into the solution. But let's take a look at example 3, where it's an example where they give us all negative numbers. So in example 3, we have our input nums equals an array of integers -1, -2, -3. Once again, it's only 3 elements, so we just have to multiply them all together. And when we do that, we get -6, which is our maximum or greatest output that we can achieve. So now that we understand the question, y'all, let's get into the fun part, the actual solution. Solution is not difficult at all. Now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to sort the array so that the numbers are in ascending order. So we'll just say let ns equal nums dot sorted, put the parentheses, boom. Then we're going to get the total count of the elements by saying let c equal nums dot count. Boom. So now we have the array sorted and we have the count. Now all we have to do, right, is we're going to return the maximum possible product of the three numbers by using two different possible candidates, right? We're going to get the product of the two smallest numbers, which may be negative, times the largest number. So let me just give you examples. Once again, say we had -7, or say we had -8, say we had -7, then say we had 1, 2, 5, 5 and 7, right? 5 and 7, right? So this is after it's sorted. So we get the numbers, boom, we sort them, now it's in order. Now, what we're gonna do, this is just an example of where if we take the first two multiplied by the last one, how that will get us the greatest outcome, right? Because if we do these two numbers and they're both negative, that's going to get us 56. Then 56 times 7 is, give me a moment, y'all, while I figure out what 56 times 7 is. That would be 56 times 7 would be 329, right? So we get 329 just from doing it like this. Now, say we don't, or just for example, that would be not 329, 392. So if we did uh, -8 times -7 times 7, that'll get us 392, as opposed to if we just did 2 times 5 would be 10 times, and then 10 times 7 would be 70, right? 392 is greater than 70. So that's just an example of how uh, we might not always just multiply the last three numbers. We might have to multiply the first two numbers times the last number, and this is an example of that. So with that being said, let's continue on to how we are going to handle the case where we might just want the smallest two times the last one. So we're going to say return max. Let me comment this out. Boom. Return max. Then we're going to open up the parentheses, and we're going to say ns square bracket 0, which in this case would be -8. Then we're going to say ns square bracket 1, which in this case would be -7, comma, excuse me, not comma, this should be multiplied. So ns square bracket 0 times ns square bracket of 1 times ns square bracket c minus 1, right? Because that's why we got the count. So this c minus 1 is going to get us whatever the last element is. So this would be -8 times -7, which would be handled right here, ns of 0 times ns of 1 times ns of c minus 1. So count minus 1 times 7. So this would be -8 times -7 times 7. We're going to so that's not it though, because we want to return the maximum. Say we don't have any negative numbers, and this is the array, right? Say we just have an array of integers that looks like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there are no negative numbers, right? Then we just want the last three. So boom. So this right here, we're returning the max. This right here is going to handle if we have negative numbers, then we'll make sure to include that. And then this right here is going to, or this next, what I'm about to show you next is going to handle a case like this, just in case there aren't any negative numbers, right? So then we're going to say, sorry y'all. So for this, the second part, we're just going to multiply the last three numbers. So we're going to say ns square bracket c minus 3 times ns square bracket c minus 2 times ns square bracket c minus 1. Boom. So we sorted, let's go through this. We sorted the array. So say we have it sorted like this. Boom. Now we get the nums.count so we can see which element comes last. Then we return the max, right? Whichever one is larger. ns of 0 times ns of 1 times ns of c minus 1, which is going to handle or check for to make sure we don't have any negative numbers that will make our output any larger, or whichever one is larger between the first two numbers that include negatives and the last, or just the last three numbers, right? Or if it's just like this, and we could just multiply the last three numbers, right? So whichever one is larger, that's the one we are going to return with this max right here. And yeah, that's all the code, y'all. So let's go ahead and give it a run. Make sure it runs properly. It's that simple. Not difficult at all. So let's go ahead and submit it. Make sure it's still accepted after we submit it. Let's see. Okay, 6 milliseconds beats 67.50% of users. Not bad. We could get those numbers up, but This is definitely a simple and easy solution that we can all learn from and obtain knowledge from so that we can use that knowledge further down our leak code journey also. That's why I wanted to pick this solution, because it's easy to understand and more importantly, it's easy to learn from. So with that being said, y'all, I hope y'all learned something today, and I hope to see y'all here tomorrow for another day, another leak code problem. See y'all then.